Hey everybody, welcome back. We're getting in now. Like I said, we're continuing our discussion on the practices of these two religions. You know, Christians, what Christians practice, and in an effort using what Christians practice as a base to understand why so many Christians seem to think that Muslims are just so evil. Because so far, as we've been going through the theology and what's practiced, it really does seem the two are cut from the same cloth. They just have some philosophical disagreements. Hell, Christians have some philosophical disagreements with each other. So why can't we get along again? It's just, why is Islam the devil? And why are Muslims at war with Christians in some cases? It's like, yeah. You know, we got into laws and government and so forth in the last part. Now let's get into statues of deity, saints, and prophets. You know, etc. This is a fun topic, to say the least. You know, it has to do with the commandments, you know, about not making idols and images, making images and so forth. You know, these things are kind of important. There's some of the mitzvahs that made it into the 10 Commandments. It's like, well, your conservative Bible-thumping literalists say, absolutely not. This is inappropriate. There are no laden images. Other moderate and liberals don't really have a problem with it. As a matter of fact, some really believe it's absolutely necessary to have a crucifix of Jesus up somewhere, or a picture of the Virgin Mary, or statues of saints. Some agree. Some really believe this is actually a sin, and that to do this at all is wrong. Well, those people get along rather well with Muslims. The general consensus among Muslims is that pictures, statues, and so forth are a form of idolatry. You know, it's false idols, so on and so forth. It's not false idols, but it's like you're not supposed to be making an altar and an idol and so forth. So this isn't allowed at all in Muslim. This means Islam. It's against the teachings of Islam to do this. And some Christians agree 100%, and some Christians disagree 100%. Honestly, as far as Christianity goes, you'll probably find extremists on both sides. You'll find extremists, Muslims, who believe this so adamantly that they will go destroy others' statues. You'll also find many Muslims who do not agree with this act at all. They don't think it's right. They don't think it's moral. You're not supposed to go around destroying other people's things. You don't have to participate. Now for the holy days. In practice, I feel the need to clarify that we're talking about the holy days in practice when comparing Christianity to Islam. Because if you get into the theology of holy days, You can have a lot of fun with Christian holy days, which is something we will get into when we cover Christianity. We are not going to have that conversation right now. The general holy days for Christians, there's a handful of them. Christmas, Easter, and in some cases one or two other days. As far as Islam goes, there's the month of Ramadan, Ashar, Maulid, Idai, Alfir. It's like they have a handful of holy days too. They're different holy days. Now, we're not, like I said, we're not going to get into this side. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's a few holy days. And to get into that. Now, obviously, Muslims don't really celebrate Christmas. No, we're not going to get into whether or not Christmas is or isn't, but it's just that for obvious reasons, they don't. Now let's get into the big, button topic. In practice, the status of women. This is probably another big thing that people are all going to have fun. Well, Muslims treat their women like second-class citizens. They're little better than slaves. In fact, slaves are treated better. They beat their women, they shun, they force them to be hidden, they'll stone them to death, if yada 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 and so forth. I'm not going to pretend this shit doesn't happen. I'm also not going to sit back here and pretend it doesn't happen in some third world shitholes that are Christian controlled either. Yes, there are still places in the world where people are stoned to death in the name of a holy book. This is something common to both the Bible and the Qur'an to this date. Generally speaking, as far as Christians goes, it's varied, just like it is with Islam. Conservative and liberals differ greatly. There's Christians who firmly, diametrically believe that the woman's place is in the home, in the kitchen, seen but not heard, even in the United States of America. And then there's Christians who believe that they're perfectly okay with the traditional roles being completely reversed. The woman being the breadwinner going out, and dad staying home being Mr. Mom. We're not even getting into the other relationships. As far as Islam goes, just like with Christianity, it's strongly affected by the cultural traditions. Women are severely oppressed in some Muslim countries. In others, they're just as free as some Christian women are. This is a thing that varies from country to country and from culture to culture. This is not a Christianity versus Muslim thing. This is a human versus human thing. We need to remember that when we talk about this topic. Am I going to sit here and say that there aren't Muslims that don't treat their women am I going to sit here and say that there's no Muslims that treat their women basically like, you know, what they complain about? Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there aren't Christians that do that, that, you know, that don't do that too. The reality is there's shitholes controlled by both parties. Kind of makes you wonder, and we'll get into that when we get into another thing. Because it doesn't really seem in teachings with what the Qur'an teaches to treat women that way. As I understand it, the whole reason for the veil and the sun and so forth is, you know, honoring a tradition. It's nothing to do with oppression. Some people abuse it that way, but that's not what it's about. So, yeah.